Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I am Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 12th of January. Pakistan submits initial findings to India on Pathankot terror attack. US Congress halts sale of F-16 fighter jets to Pakistan. And Myanmar's Union Peace Conference begins to negotiate peace with armed rebels. And now for all the details. Pakistan is said to have handed over to India the initial findings of the investigation into alleged Pakistani links to the recent terror attack on the Indian Army Air Base. India claims that the terrorists who unleashed the assault came from Pakistan.
Pakistan on Monday completed the initial investigation following leads provided by India regarding the terror attack. In its report, Pakistan claimed that the telephone numbers given by India were not registered in Pakistan. Local media in Pakistan reported that intelligence agencies have picked up some suspects on the leads provided by India and shifted them to undisclosed location for interrogation. This comes after Pakistan formed a special joint investigation team on the directives of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to probe Pakistani link to the terror attack. India alleges that the terrorists who carried out the 4-day assault on army base in India's northern Pathankot, in which 7 Indian soldiers were killed, belonged to the Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed outfit. India had warned to put on hold the upcoming bilateral talks with Pakistan unless Islamabad took swift action to probe into the attack based on leads submitted by India.
Meanwhile, Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj met with the Syrian counterpart Walid al-Moualem to discuss a host of bilateral issues. The minister arrived in India on Monday on a 4-day official visit.
Moualem is the second highest Syrian official to visit India since 2011. His visit comes as part of Syrian government's move to build support among friendly countries ahead of Geneva talks, when many countries, including the United States, are pushing Syria to end the humanitarian crisis. The visit assumes significance in view of fresh initiatives taken by the United Nations to bring peace in war-torn Syria, where more than 300,000 people have been killed in the past 4 years and 7 million have fled to other countries. Syria expects India to play a larger role in the political process of the country.
Moving on, the Pakistan Rangers Sindh Director General has stated that the military operation will continue in Karachi with full force as per instructions of the heads of armed forces and the federal government. Earlier, the provincial Sindh government had passed a resolution in the provincial assembly to impose limitations on their power in the port city.
Pakistan military has been clearly instructed by the head of armed forces and the federal government to continue with their operation to maintain peace in the region, said Pakistan Rangers Sindh DG Major General Bilal Akbar. Despite the ongoing push and pull, I have been clearly instructed by the head of the armed forces and the federal government to go on with operation. The future of Karachi operation is bright and solid. It will continue until it reaches its logical conclusion, the DG Rangers said. He said this during a meeting with the delegation of All Karachi Traders Union, who had raised security concerns in case the targeted operation is stopped in the commercial hub. The provincial Sindh government has tried to clip the powers of the Rangers in the city by passing resolution, a move that set up a showdown between the provincial government and the powerful paramilitary forces. The military-backed campaign also had the support of the federal government of Nawaz Sharif, to which the provincial PPP government is in opposition. The provincial cabinet has termed the move as unconstitutional and said that it would move to court to defend the cause of provincial autonomy. But residents, mainly the traders, say the crackdown by Rangers in late 2013 had brought down Karachi's sky-high murder rates. The provincial government's resolution prompted several trading bodies to rally and protest against the move, fearing that limitations on Rangers' power will push Karachi into the same position it was 2 decades ago. Critics, however, say the campaign by the Rangers had increased the number of extrajudicial killings.
The United States Congress has stalled its government proposal to sell F-16 jets to Pakistan. Several US lawmakers requested for clarifications and information notices regarding the sale, which effectively led to delay in the sale process, stated a source. According to reports, many US lawmakers raised questions about the end use of the F-16 aircraft, including whether it could or would be used against India, and about the US relationship with Pakistan. The hold, however, does not end the measure, and it can still go through if the administration continues to push for it. The Obama administration had notified the proposal to sell the jets to Pakistan during Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's visit to Washington last year. As efforts have once again been stepped up to revive peace talks with the Taliban, a former Taliban official has expressed hope for a positive outcome from the negotiations. The Afghan government, persuaded by the international community, is looking for resurrecting a stalled peace process and end nearly 15 years of bloodshed in the conflict-ridden country.
Taliban didn't have specific representatives to attend the talks in the past. But today, there is hope from the forthcoming peace talks, said a former Taliban senior official, Mohammad Hassan Hakyar. A renewed effort has been initiated by the Afghan government to bring the insurgents to the negotiating table, even as fighting with the group intensifies in parts of the country. In recent months, the Taliban have won territory in the southern province of Helmand, briefly captured the northern city of Kunduz, and launched a series of suicide bombs in capital Kabul. The deteriorating security situation, even since foreign troops started withdrawing from the country, once again highlighted the need for a peaceful negotiation between the Afghan government and the Taliban.
د طالبانو اساسي نمائندګان نه وو، هغوی حتی خبر ته آمادګي نه وه ښکاره کړې. افغان حکومت کې هم قاطعیت نه و، د سولې او د تفاهم دپاره قاطع دریځ نه و. د افغانستان په حکومت کې دننه کړۍ داسې وي چې هغوی سوله نه غوښته، امریکایانو هم نه غوښته، پاکستان هم نه غوښته. اوس شرایط توپیر مومي. اوس داسې ښکاري چې افغان حکومت هم اماده ده، امریکایان هم آماده دي، او پاکستان هم نسبتا د پخوا په څېر نسبتا آمادګي زیاته ده، ځکه چې شرایط تغییر شو، ظروف تغییر شو. امریکایانو هم دا درک کړه چې د طالبانو د سیاست نویسته یا د نظامي ډګر نویسته دا د دوی دپاره ستونزمن کار د دوی دا کار ونه شي کوی.
For residents on the streets of Kabul struggling to cope up with frequent attacks, a peaceful negotiation seemed a better alternative.
افغانستان صلح ته ډېر اشد ضرورت لري او بې صلح هېڅ کار نه کېږي او صلح باید وشي، دایمي وشي، خدای وکړي چې وفا پرې وشي او صلح چې نه وي خو نو ژوند نشته.
Peace efforts last year were stalled after the Taliban announced that their founder, Mullah Muhammad Omar, had been dead for 2 years, throwing the militant group into disarray as rival factions fought for supremacy. The Taliban, who were ousted in 2001, remain split on whether to take part in talks.
Myanmar's Union Peace Conference kicked off in country's capital, Naypyidaw, with an aim to negotiate between the government and the ethnic armed groups. Pro-democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi, whose party is set to take charge of the country in March, also took part in the peace process.
Several members and representatives of Myanmar's ethnic armed groups, the military and lawmakers gathered for a week-long conference to end insurgencies that have plagued the country for decades. It also marked Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi's first involvement in the ongoing peace process. Suu Kyi, whose National League for Democracy party won a historic election last year, urged all rebel groups to take part to make the ceasefire talks more effective. Suu Kyi had earlier assured the country that peace building would be the top priority of her party's administration, which is poised to replace Myanmar's military-backed government in March. Armed conflicts have wrecked Myanmar for decades as several ethnic minority groups fought for greater autonomy from the central government. Outgoing President Thein Sein stated that the measures taken by his government to bring an end to the conflicts would lay a good foundation for the next government to continue with the peace process. In October last year, President Thein Sein's government had signed a ceasefire with 8 armed groups. But 7 of these armed rebel groups, including some of the most powerful ones, had declined to sign the ceasefire pact.
Nepal Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli has invited Indian investors to boost the local economy, which has been marred by the ongoing Madhesi crisis. This comes ahead of his proposed visit to India next month.
Amid the ongoing political crisis, Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli has turned towards the Indian business community to revive the deteriorating economy of the Himalayan region. Nepal's economy has lost in billions due to the Madhesi unrest for last 4 months. Prime Minister Oli is expected to visit India next month on his maiden trip abroad in his new role. We want to work together with India not only for Nepal but for South Asia. We want to make a developed South Asia because this is a very rich and beautiful part of the world. Nepal is committed and honestly wants to create an investment-friendly atmosphere, Oli said. According to Indian Embassy in Nepal, Indian firms are the biggest investors in Nepal, accounting for about 38.3% of Nepal's total approved foreign direct investment. There are about 150 operating Indian ventures in Nepal engaged in manufacturing and services that include banking, insurance, education and telecom besides power and tourism sectors. Bilateral trade between India and Nepal, which was 29.8% of Nepal's total external trade in 1995-96, reached 66% in 2013-14. Exports from Nepal to India were worth $605 million in 2013-14 and India's exports to Nepal were worth $4.8 billion during the same fiscal.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Pakistan submits initial findings to India on Pathankot terror attack. US Congress halts sale of F-16 fighter jets to Pakistan. And Myanmar's Union Peace Conference begins to negotiate peace with armed rebels. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter at SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.